Hey guys, it's Hollywood Studios here, and today we are talking about one of the world's greatest roller coasters and one of the most fan-favorited coasters in the coaster community, El Toro. More specifically, we're going to be looking at it in terms of how good it is. If you ask me, and if you ask many other people, El Toro is easily the world's greatest wooden coaster, or at least the best wooden coaster that we've ridden, and I certainly am not object to that statement at all. El Toro is absolutely insane, has incredible airtime, and just has so much good about it. So when we take a look at El Toro, let's start from the very beginning. El Toro opened in June of 2006, literally the year after they built the world's tallest and fastest coaster, Kingda Ka. Both of these coasters were absolutely massive investments from Intamin, and they are both really good rides. But El Toro was a ride that didn't have as much going for it as Kingda Ka did, at least to the eyes of the general public. Kingda Ka is the world's tallest and was the world's fastest coaster. It's obviously going to be insane. El Toro, it's just a wooden coaster, at least to the eyes of the GP. Most people saw, oh, it's going to be a fun ride. No one really thought that it was going to be as insane as it is. My dad tells me all the time that when he first rode El Toro, his socks were knocked right off, that it was absolutely insane. And I think that's everyone's reaction when they first ride El Toro. You see the POVs, you see the off-rides, it looks incredible, but you really don't understand how incredible it is until you ride it. So let's go into the riding experience of El Toro. New Jersey as a state has a very strict no loose article policy on major coasters. This policy does unfortunately apply to El Toro, meaning that all loose articles, it doesn't matter if you have zippered pockets, they have to go in a locker. It's not Great Adventure trying to money grab you, they're required to do it by the state. So once you get all your stuff in a locker, you're going to walk up to the entrance. El Toro's entrance and the plaza around it looks absolutely incredible, especially the area it's in, Plaza del Carnaval. Especially during the summertime, there are plants everywhere. It's a very bright area. It is a really great area, and of course El Toro, being Spanish for the bull, fits right into the Spanish themed area where there's other Spanish themed foods, Spanish themed rides. It's a great area, one of the best areas in the park, mostly due to El Toro, of course. Once you go into the queue, you're going to go through a lot of switchbacks. Depending on the day, of course, you're either going to have a very short line or a very long line. Usually when I ride it, it's a short line, but be aware that El Toro can get very long lines because it's a very popular ride. Once you get up to the station, the front row is as soon as you get into the station. If you want to get the back row, which is of course the best row on the ride, you got to go all the way back. And usually what's good about this is that people pile into the front of the station. So if you excuse your way through, you can get all the way to the back, and generally there's not many people back there, which is always really good. Once you get on, you're going to board the trains, and you're going to have some of the most comfortable restraints I have ever experienced. I think these are honestly only second or third to Intamin's new generation restraints that are found on rides like Velocicoaster and B&M's clamshell restraints that are found on all of their hypercoasters like Nitro. But El Toro's restraints are very comfortable. They're not uncomfortable like Superman the Ride or other T-bar like restraints that have bars on the side, because this is very small, meaning that your legs really will not bang into anything, especially because the ride is so smooth. And it's just a very comfortable lap bar. Once the attendant checks your restraint and hopefully doesn't staple you, you are on your way out into the turn before you go up the cable lift. The cable lift is honestly one of the best lift hills on any coaster that is on El Toro. It goes up so fast, and it's not like you just immediately accelerate up. You start going up at a decent pace, and then you just accelerate out of nowhere, which usually scares the crap out of a lot of people. You get an incredible view when you get up to the top of the Safari, Bizarro, of course now known as Medusa, Kingda Ka, and as you turn the corner, you slowly get to see more and more of the park, but that view is short-lived as you get thrown down El Toro's first drop. In my opinion, El Toro has the greatest first drop on any coaster ever built. This drop is just designed so perfectly. You come in with the perfect amount of speed, and when you're in the back row, you just get flung right out of your seat. It really does feel like sometimes you're just dying right there. You're going to go right into the ground. It's an incredible drop. It's not even the steepest drop in the world either. It's only around 76 degrees, which is pretty far from a straight down drop, but it feels like you're going straight down. It is just the perfect drop. And Right after that, you go into one of the greatest elements of all time, the first camelback. Whether you're in the front, back, middle, it doesn't matter. You're going flying out of your seat. The airtime you get on this hill and the following hill are very different depending on where you sit. If you're in the front row, you're definitely going to experience the strongest airtime because you're going right up over the hill. You're getting pushed forward and absolutely pulled out of your seat. If you're in the middle, it's definitely the most sustained all the way through as you get airtime all the way through. It's just not as strong as the front or back. And the back, it starts off as floater airtime when you going up the hill, and as soon as you crest and go down the hill, you are just flung out of your seat. You're getting dragged down. Both experiences are really good. I definitely recommend riding front row and back row to experience the different sensations. I personally do think that it's a lot stronger in the front on these two hills, but it's really, really cool in the back as well. Following these two incredible moments of ejector airtime, you get flung up into El Toro's turnaround. When you enter the turnaround, you bank 90 degrees to the right, and if you're sitting on the left side or really anywhere in the train, you're gonna get a nice pop of floater airtime. It's not really easy to notice considering you just experienced some of the world's strongest ejector airtime, but the airtime here is a really, really good touch. The positive G-forces you pull through the turn are really, really high, and some people complain about this turnaround being rough, but honestly, I don't think it's that bad, and I think anyone that calls El Toro rough probably has not ridden a classic wooden coaster because a lot of those older wooden coasters are rough. El Toro is nowhere near as rough as other wooden coasters. It is by far, at least in my opinion, the smoothest wooden coaster I've ever experienced. Once you finish the turnaround, you kind of enter the dead middle section, as a lot of people call it. You drop down, get a nice pop of floater airtime if you're in the back. You enter a floater airtime hill and then another step up and turn up into the best part of the ride. Now, this middle section does kind of kill the pacing a little bit. It's nothing too bad though, because you kind of need a breather in between the insane start and the insane finale of the ride. And it's also really, really cool to see the train flying by if you're walking on the path next to it. Of course, once you make that turn over the drop, you head up into the Rolling Thunder Hill. The Rolling Thunder Hill is named the Rolling Thunder Hill because Rolling Thunder, the old dueling wooden coaster at the park, went right under this element for its first drop, and that track is actually still there, which is a really, really good touch on the park. But this hill is easily the strongest moment of ejector airtime I've ever experienced in my life. When this ride is fully warmed up, like midday or at night, it doesn't matter where you sit, you're getting good airtime. But specifically, if you sit in the very back row, you get absolutely ripped over this hill. It's absolutely ridiculous. The amount of ejector airtime you experience is really insane. If you ride this ride over and over and over again, you will feel that airtime in your head. But after you fly down this insane element, you go into the twister section of the ride, which consists of multiple switchback turns back and forth, before you enter a helix that brings you up into two twisted, somewhat airtime hills that bring you into the brake run. These switchbacks are very, very fun, and when the ride is fully warmed up, you really get thrown around through these turns. Some people I know have compared these turns to I-305. I wouldn't really say that because I-305 is ridiculous, but these turns are really fun and they're still very comfortable. Like, it's not like you're snapping too hard. And the two final airtime hills, again, if you could call them airtime hills, are also pretty fun. The first one is definitely a lot better than the second one, as you get an actual little bit of floater airtime. The other one is kind of just like a jump up before you go into the brake run. And just like that, your experience on El Toro is done. So overall, I think you can tell either if you haven't ridden it or if you have ridden it, El Toro is insane. It has some of the most insane ejector airtime on any coaster period, let alone for a wooden coaster. It also pulls extremely high positive G-forces. I believe it hits around 4.5 Gs, which is pretty high for a wooden coaster. It's also very smooth for being a wooden coaster. It's not perfectly smooth, but the little bit of roughness makes you remember, oh yeah, I'm on a wooden coaster, not a steel coaster. And it definitely makes it feel a lot more like a wooden coaster than other types of wooden coasters like RMCs, because those are so smooth. El Toro overall though, it has a great layout, really, really good airtime, and overall, all this combines to make it one of the greatest coasters of all time, and in my opinion, easily the best wooden coaster out there. I'm sure many people are going to disagree with that statement, as there's a lot of great contenders for best wooden coaster. Let me know what your favorite wooden coaster is down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss another upload. And I'll see you all in the next video.